My name is Ren Kade, and until 3 months ago, the most dangerous thing I had ever defeated was a mosquito that got trapped inside my helmet. That is not a joke. I was a level 1 porter in the city of Valtis, which meant real adventurers killed monsters while I carried their bags, cleaned blood off swords, and pretended not to hear them call me Backpack Boy. My stats were so low that the guild receptionist once checked my identification crystal twice because she thought I was a civilian who had wandered in to use the bathroom. Then one morning, I accepted the most pathetic quest on the entire board: kill 5 blue slimes behind the bakery. The reward was 12 exp, 3 copper coins, and a stale healing bun. I took it because the bakery owner also promised me lunch. The slimes almost killed me. The first one bounced off a wall and hit me in the face. The second stole my shoe. The third somehow got inside my shirt. I ended up rolling across the alley screaming while an old woman watched from a window and slowly closed her curtains. But after 40 minutes of humiliation, I stabbed the last slime with a broken broom handle. A normal blue box appeared in front of me. Quest complete. Then the box flickered black. A second window opened behind it. Claim reward. Gamble for X10. I stared at it for so long that the bakery owner asked if the slimes had damaged my brain. 10 times the reward sounded amazing, but I had played enough cheap tavern dice to know that anything with the word gamble usually ended with me missing dinner. I tried to close the window. It would not close. I tried to walk away. It followed me. I even slapped it. That caused a third line to appear. Cowardice detected. Odds unchanged. Now it was personal. I pressed gamble. The stale healing bun vanished from my hand. A new objective appeared. Bonus objective: defeat the hidden slime monarch before sunset. Failure penalty: all original rewards lost. I laughed because there was obviously no slime monarch behind a bakery. Then the sewer exploded. A slime the size of a carriage rose through the street wearing a golden spoon like a crown. It had 6 eyes, 4 mouths, and the bakery sign stuck inside its body. People screamed. The bakery owner screamed louder because the monster had absorbed 3 trays of fresh bread. The system gave me 12 minutes. I had a broom handle. That was the moment a reasonable man would run. I am not a reasonable man. I noticed the slime monarch kept diving toward sugar. Every time it smelled frosting, its body stretched thin. So I broke into the bakery, stole a barrel of syrup, rolled it into the street, and shouted the dumbest battle cry of my life. "Come get dessert, you royal jelly idiot." The monarch swallowed the barrel whole. Then I threw the bakery oven's burning coal tray into its mouth. Sugar, heat, and slime apparently make a very bad combination. The monster inflated like a balloon, bounced off 3 rooftops, and burst over the plaza in a rain of blue jelly. For the next week, pigeons stuck to buildings. I was covered from head to toe. The system chimed. Bonus objective complete. Reward multiplier applied. I received 120 XP, 30 copper coins, and 10 stale healing buns. 10 buns. Not 1 fresh bun. 10 stale ones. I should have been disappointed, but I had jumped from level 1 to level 4 in a single afternoon. My strength increased. My speed increased. My luck increased by 1 point, which felt insulting considering what I had just survived. More importantly, I had learned the rule. Every completed quest gave me a choice nobody else could see. Take the safe reward, or bet everything and receive a hidden bonus objective worth 10 times more. At first, I promised myself I would only gamble worthless rewards. That promise lasted until breakfast. The next day, I accepted a quest to collect 10 moon mushrooms from the beginner forest. The reward was a basic iron dagger and 20 exp. I gathered the mushrooms in 8 minutes, then immediately pressed gamble. Bonus objective: collect the mushroom growing on the back of the sleeping ironback bear. I had never seen an ironback bear. I had only seen drawings and warning signs saying not to approach one under any circumstance. Naturally, I went looking for it. I found the bear asleep in a cave with a glowing mushroom growing directly between its ears. The creature was level 26. I was level 4. One sneeze from this thing could turn me into wall art. So instead of fighting it, I rubbed sleeping herbs on a tree branch and used the branch to scratch behind its ear. The bear started kicking its leg like an enormous dog. I kept scratching, slowly reached over, plucked the mushroom, and nearly escaped. Nearly. Then one of my stale healing buns fell out of my bag. The bear ate it. It woke up furious. I learned 2 things while running for my life. First, ironback bears are much faster than they look. Second, apparently even monsters hate stale healing buns. I escaped by jumping into a river. The bear followed, forgot that iron armor-like fur makes swimming difficult, and sank like a boulder. I felt bad for half a second. Then the bear walked along the bottom of the river and emerged downstream. Even angrier, I sprinted back to the guild with it chasing me through the city. Guards fired arrows. Shopkeepers ducked. A fruit vendor somehow charged me for every melon the bear crushed. The hidden objective counted as complete the moment I reached the quest giver with the mushroom. The reward hit before the bear hit me. 200 exp. 10 iron daggers. My level shot to 7. I caught the bear's paw with both hands. For one glorious second, Everyone in the guild plaza thought I had become unbelievably powerful. Then the bear lifted me over its head and threw me through the second-floor window of the alchemy shop. Still, I had 10 daggers. I sold 9 and paid for the window. That should have been enough excitement for 1 week. Instead, I opened the quest board and started looking for the biggest reward I could safely ruin. Within 4 days, I became the guild's strangest beginner. Other rookies accepted quests based on difficulty. I accepted quests based on how funny the reward would look multiplied by 10. Deliver 1 chicken to Farmer Pell? Gamble. The hidden objective told me to return the chicken after it somehow became leader of a wild razorbeak flock. I spent 6 hours chasing a bird through the mountains, only to discover the chicken had challenged a razorbeak alpha, won by pecking it in the eye, and taken command of 40 murderous birds. I had to march the entire flock back through Valtis, while Farmer Pell cried tears of pride. My reward became 10 silver coins and 10 chickens. The system gave me the same chicken 10 times. I still do not understand that one. Clean a haunted storage room? Gamble. The hidden objective demanded I make the ghost voluntarily leave. Weapons passed through it. Holy water made it laugh. And every priest in the district refused to help after sunset. So I asked the ghost why it was haunting the room. It pointed at a locked chest. Inside was a 50-year-old unpaid tavern bill. The ghost had died owing 12 silver coins and refused to move on because the tavern owner kept adding interest. I paid the bill, then discovered the tavern owner had also been dead for 30 years and was haunting the building next door. The two ghosts started arguing over late fees until both became so angry they accidentally crossed into the afterlife just to continue the argument somewhere else. 10 times the cleaning reward gave me a rare spirit-resistant cloak, which would have been impressive if it were not bright pink and covered in tiny smiling skulls. Escort a merchant 1 kilometer outside town? Gamble. The hidden objective changed the route. Protect the merchant until he reaches the summit of Mount Crag. The merchant screamed when he saw the objective marked on my face. I screamed when I learned Mount Crag was 80 kilometers away. Halfway there, bandits attacked us. I beat them using the Ironback Bear technique, which is what I call throwing stale healing buns at enemies and letting anger solve the rest. At the mountain base, we got surrounded by stone wolves. I discovered the merchant was transporting illegal explosive pepper. I emptied 3 sacks into the wind. The wolves inhaled it and sneezed so hard they launched themselves off the trail. At the summit, a thunder rock attacked. I had no plan. The merchant did. He opened his final crate and revealed 200 metal spoons. Apparently, he was a spoon salesman. We tied the spoons to a rope, raised them like a giant lightning rod, and the next thunderbolt hit the rock directly in its own face. The bird fell unconscious. The merchant stared at me, stared at the spoons, and immediately changed his company slogan to, "Good for soup, better for war." By the end of the week, I was level 16. A normal rookie needed months to reach that point. I did it by making every boring task become a near-death disaster, and that was when I realized I had a problem. I could no longer press claim reward. My finger physically refused. The guild chef offered a quest to wash 50 dishes for 1 point of endurance. I completed it. The black window appeared. Claim reward. Gamble for X10. I knew gambling 1 endurance point was stupid. I knew the hidden objective could be dangerous. I knew I had already been chased by a bear, attacked by a rock, and nearly arrested for creating an armed chicken militia. I pressed gamble before the system finished glowing. Bonus objective. Wash 1 plate belonging to the Abyssal Emperor. I looked at the chef. The chef looked at me. Then a black portal opened in the sink. A clawed hand reached through and placed a dinner plate beside me. The plate was made of human-sized dragon scales. It was covered in black sauce that whispered insults. A voice from the portal said, "Remove the stain without damaging the plate." Then the portal closed. I had 10 minutes. The stain resisted water, fire, acid, soap, holy salt, moonlight, and a brush labeled "Definitely removes everything." That brush was a liar. Finally, I noticed the sauce reacted whenever I insulted it back. So I spent 7 straight minutes arguing with a plate. "Your darkness is weak." The stain hissed. "Your emperor seasons food like a depressed goblin." The stain started peeling away. "I have tasted stronger evil in expired mayonnaise." The entire stain jumped off the plate and tried to strangle me. I trapped it under a bowl. Objective complete. 10 endurance points entered my body at once. I immediately stopped being tired. Then the black sauce escaped the bowl and chased the chef around the kitchen for 20 minutes. That was the exact moment I stopped pretending this power was normal. It was not a reward multiplier. It was a machine designed to turn my life into a series of increasingly stupid boss fights. And I loved it. I started searching for quests with skill books, stat stones, equipment chests, anything valuable. Money was nice, but 10 times money just made me richer. 10 times a rare skill could make me terrifying. The problem was that low-rank quests rarely offered rare rewards, so I needed to rank up. The guild exam for bronze adventurers was simple. Enter the training dungeon, defeat a goblin captain, retrieve its badge, and return alive. The examiner was a huge woman named Mara Voss, who had 1 eye, 6 scars, and the cheerful personality of a falling brick. She looked at my record. Ren Kade, she said. You caused 19 unusual incidents in 9 days. Only 17 were my fault. You brought a bear into the city. It followed me without permission. You started a ghost debt riot. That was technically financial mediation. She stared at me for a full 10 seconds. Then she handed me a wooden entry token. Try not to improve the dungeon. I entered alone. The goblin captain lasted 30 seconds. I was already level 16, and the training dungeon expected level 10 recruits. I kicked its shield away, dodged its axe, and smacked it unconscious with the flat side of my dagger. The quest complete message appeared. Reward: Bronze Guild rank, 500 exp, 1 random uncommon skill. Then my favorite black window appeared. I did not even read the first option. I pressed gamble. The dungeon shook. Mara's voice came through the emergency crystal. What did you touch? Nothing important. A hidden door opened behind the goblin captain. Bonus objective: defeat every monster in the training dungeon simultaneously. I blinked. Then every cage in the dungeon opened. 200 goblins, wolves, cave lizards, training golems, poison beetles, and 1 confused sheep poured into the central chamber. Apparently the sheep belonged to the maintenance crew. I had 5 minutes. There was no way I could fight all of them, so I did not fight them. I ran to the control room. Every training dungeon has traps that instructors activate to teach rookies how not to die. Swinging logs, net launchers, foam pits, smoke vents, fake spike floors, stun tiles. Normally, an examiner controls them. Unfortunately for the dungeon, I had spent 2 years carrying bags for adventurers and watching every test from the sidelines. I knew the trap sequence better than some instructors. I hit everything at once. Chaos became an art form. A swinging log knocked 12 goblins into a foam pit. A net launcher wrapped 3 wolves and a golem together. The golem panicked and rolled downhill like a giant stone burrito. Poison beetles hit a stun tile, bounced into the smoke vent, and came flying out unconscious like ugly popcorn. The sheep avoided every trap. I am still convinced that sheep was the strongest creature in the room. At the end, only the goblin captain was awake, because I had forgotten to tie him up. He looked at the mountain of unconscious monsters. He looked at me. Then he slowly lay down and pretended to be defeated. I respected that decision. The system accepted it. The reward exploded across my vision. 5,000 XP. 10 random uncommon skills. My level climbed from 16 to 22. Skills appeared one after another. Quick step, minor fire resistance, knife throw, danger sense, night vision, strong stomach, fast recovery, lock touch, impact guard, and chicken whisperer. I stared at the last one. The system refused to explain itself. Mara entered the dungeon 3 minutes later and found me standing on a pile of monsters, while 1 sheep calmly chewed my cloak. She looked at the control room. She looked at me. Then she tore my bronze rank certificate in half. For 1 terrible second, I thought I had failed. Instead, she handed me a silver one. Bronze adventurers are not paid enough to deal with you, she said. That was how I skipped an entire rank by turning a beginner exam into a monster blender. Silver rank unlocked real quests. That was where my little gambling habit became dangerous. The first reward that made my hands shake was a skill called Mirror Step. It came from a quest to capture a thief known as the Laughing Fox, a level 30 rogue who had robbed 7 noble houses without hurting anyone. Mirror Step created a false copy whenever the user dodged at the last second. 1 copy was already useful. 10 copies sounded disgusting. I wanted it immediately. I found the Laughing Fox on a clock tower because dramatic criminals apparently hate normal buildings. She wore a red mask, had silver hair, and threw knives while laughing like she had been paid per giggle. Her name was Lyra Fen. She was fast enough to run along walls. I was not. But I had knife throw, quick step, and 2 years of professional experience being used as portable luggage. That meant I knew something most fighters did not. People never look at bags. I threw my backpack over the edge. Lyra glanced at it for 1 second, probably wondering why an idiot had sacrificed his own supplies. That was enough. I used quick step, tackled her, and we crashed through the clock face together. We landed inside the tower on a pile of gears. She put a knife at my throat. I put a stale healing bun against her mask. Neither of us knew what my threat meant, which made it surprisingly effective. She surrendered. The quest complete prompt appeared. Reward: 800 XP, 1 Mirror Step skill crystal, 40 silver coins. My pulse started racing. I pressed gamble. Lyra watched my face change. Why do you look happy? Bad habit. Bonus objective: prove the Laughing Fox innocent of the royal vault theft before midnight. I looked at Lyra. She stopped smiling. That is a problem, she said. You stole from the royal vault. No, that is why it is a problem. If I failed, I lost Mirror Step. If I succeeded, I would get 10 skill crystals. So instead of taking Lyra to jail, I cut her restraints. That made the city guards very unhappy. We spent the next 3 hours fleeing across rooftops while investigating the crime we were currently being arrested for. Lyra explained the royal vault had been robbed 2 nights earlier. The thief left behind her signature red feather, so everyone blamed her. The problem was that Lyra hated feathers because she was allergic. The famous laughing fox was allergic to feathers. She threatened to stab me if I ever told anyone. The clue sounded stupid, but stupid clues are still clues. We broke into the evidence room and inspected the feather. My danger sense did not react, but Chicken Whisperer did. Yes, Chicken Whisperer, the most embarrassing skill I owned, began humming in my head. I touched the feather and somehow understood one clear fact. Not chicken. I stared at it. Lyra stared at me. Did you just interrogate a feather? Respect my process. The feather came from a royal fire peacock, a bird only kept inside the palace gardens. That meant the fake evidence came from someone with palace access. We sneaked into the gardens, where Chicken Whisperer reached its horrifying final form. Every bird understood me, not just chickens. Peacocks, ducks, pigeons, geese, a whole flock gathered while I questioned them about the robbery. Most birds are terrible witnesses. One duck kept demanding bread. A peacock refused to speak unless I complimented its tail. A goose confessed to 6 crimes nobody had accused it of. Finally, an old white hen told me a palace magician had collected a fire peacock feather 2 nights ago. The magician was Chancellor Vare, the king's chief advisor. We followed him beneath the palace and found a hidden room filled with stolen royal artifacts. Vare had framed Lyra because she had once robbed his private mansion and discovered letters connecting him to smugglers. When he caught us, he summoned a stone serpent the size of a train. Lyra looked at me. Do you have another stupid trick? I have several. None are good. The serpent chased us through the underground vault while Vare launched fire spells. I could not damage its stone scales, but Mirror Step was still waiting as a reward, so I did not have my best escape skill yet. Then I remembered Lock Touch. It could open simple locks when I placed my hand on them. A stone serpent is not a lock. A royal floodgate is. I slapped the emergency gate built into the vault wall. It opened. A river slammed into the chamber. Vare screamed as water carried him away. The serpent tried to hold position, but Lyra threw a chain around its neck, hooked the other end to the gate wheel, and yelled at me to close it. I touched the lock again. The gate slammed shut. The chain pulled tight. The serpent's head cracked off. We dragged Vare out of a drainage canal and delivered him to the king with 9 minutes left. Bonus objective complete. 10 Mirror Step crystals appeared. Normally duplicate skill crystals are sold because a person cannot learn the same skill twice. My system had other ideas. Merge identical rewards? I pressed yes. The 10 uncommon crystals fused into one rare skill, Mirror Legion. Whenever I dodged a lethal attack at the last possible instant, I could leave behind up to 10 solid copies of myself for 3 seconds. Solid copies. They could hit people. For 3 seconds, I was an 11-man gang. I tested it on Lyra. She punched the real me before I could activate it. You are annoying, she said. Somehow that became the beginning of our partnership. Lyra joined the guild 2 days later, mostly because the king erased her arrest warrants, and mostly because she wanted to watch me die doing something stupid. She quickly noticed my pattern. I would complete a quest, stare into empty space, smile like a lunatic, and suddenly a normal afternoon would become a public emergency. She did not know about the system yet. She thought I was cursed. Honestly, that explanation was not far off. Our next big job was to protect a noble boy named Pio during his birthday parade. Easy mission. Good pay. The reward included a rare vitality bracelet. We stopped 3 pickpockets, 1 assassin, and a clown who was not evil but looked suspicious enough that Lyra followed him for 20 minutes. The parade ended safely. The system offered my reward. I gambled it. Bonus objective. Ensure the birthday boy receives a gift from the dragon living beneath the city. I reread the sentence 6 times. There was a dragon beneath the city. Apparently, everyone important knew about it except me. Lyra saw my expression. What did you do? We need a birthday gift. That sounds normal. From a dragon. She closed her eyes. I hate you. The dragon beneath Valtis was named Grandmother Cinder, an ancient magma worm sealed under the royal furnace. She had not attacked the city in 200 years because the royal family delivered a cow to her every month and left her alone. We entered through the furnace tunnels carrying cake. Lyra asked why. I told her nobody should visit a grandmother empty-handed. Grandmother Cinder was enormous. Her head alone could fill a house. Lava flowed between her scales. One eye opened when we approached. Why are 2 snacks entering my chamber? I held up the cake. Birthday diplomacy. That got her attention. I explained that Pio wanted a dragon gift, leaving out the part where Pio had never asked for one and had no idea we were underground risking our lives. Grandmother Cinder laughed so hard the ceiling cracked. Then she agreed on one condition. Beat her grandson in a game. A smaller dragon crawled from behind her wing. Smaller meant only the size of a tavern. His name was Ashbit, and the game was Treasure Snatch. Each side placed 1 valuable object in the center of the chamber. First person to grab the opponent's treasure and return to their starting circle won. Ashbit placed a ruby the size of my head. I placed one stale healing bun. Lyra whispered, "That is insulting. That is strategy." The game started. Ashbit rushed toward the bun because dragons cannot resist taking treasure, even terrible treasure. I rushed toward the ruby. He reached my side first. Then he smelled the bun. He stopped. He looked offended. I grabbed the ruby. Ashbit roared and charged me. I waited until his claw was one breath from turning me into paste, activated Mirror Legion, and 11 versions of me scattered in different directions. Ashbit froze. Dragons are powerful. Young dragons are not great at counting. He chased the wrong Ren. I crossed the starting circle with the ruby. Grandmother Cinder declared me the winner and gave Pio a black dragon scale as a birthday gift. The scale was worth more than his family's mansion. The system multiplied my original quest reward too. 10 rare vitality bracelets. Merged together, they became one epic bracelet called Heart of 10 Lives. It gave me 10 emergency vitality barriers, each one able to block a killing blow before needing a full day to recover. That item would save my life so many times that I stopped counting after the third explosion. More importantly, my reputation changed. People stopped calling me Backpack Boy. Now they called me Jackpot Ren. I hated the name for almost 6 seconds. Then the guild started giving me better quests. Better quests were exactly what I wanted, which proved I had learned nothing. At silver rank, rewards stopped being 10 copper coins and started becoming permanent stat points, rare materials, enchanted weapons, and skill upgrades. That also meant the hidden objectives stopped asking me to annoy ghosts and started asking me to offend natural law. One quest sent Lyra and me to clear a nest of frost spiders from a mine. We destroyed the nest, rescued the miners, and earned 3 agility points each. I gambled. The system told me to defeat the queen without touching the ground for the entire battle. The queen was 30 meters long. The cave ceiling was covered in ice, so I fought upside down. Lyra hammered daggers into the ceiling. I used them like stepping stones, jumping from blade to blade while the spiders sprayed freezing webs below me. When I ran out of daggers, I activated Mirror Legion and stepped on my own copies. For 3 seconds, I used 10 temporary versions of myself as a staircase. Lyra watched from a safe ledge and shouted, "That should not work." "It is working because nobody has told gravity yet." I dropped onto the Spider Queen's back, shoved an explosive mining charge under its ice armor, and jumped back to the ceiling. The blast launched the queen through 3 layers of rock and into a frozen underground lake. 30 agility points entered my body. I became so fast that I ran into a wall the first time I tried sprinting. Another quest gave me 1 point of intelligence for solving a ruined temple puzzle. I gambled that too. The hidden objective demanded I solve the temple, while every answer was deliberately wrong. That one nearly broke me. The temple asked which direction the sun rose. I answered west. A boulder fell from the ceiling. It asked how many sides a triangle had. I answered 8. Poison darts fired from the walls. By the final room, I understood the trick. The temple was not testing knowledge. It was testing confidence. Every wrong answer became true inside the chamber if I believed it strongly enough. The final guardian asked, "Can a human punch through adamantite?" I looked at the wall. I had absolutely no reason to believe I could. So I remembered every terrible decision that had worked so far. I remembered yelling at cursed sauce. I remembered interviewing a chicken feather. I remembered using copies of myself as furniture. Then I said, obviously. I punched the wall. The temple accepted my confidence before reality could object. The entire adamantite door shattered. 10 intelligence points hit me at once. For the next hour, I became painfully aware of how stupid most of my plans had been. Then I kept doing them anyway. Soon I reached gold rank, then platinum. Every promotion happened faster than it should have. Guild veterans began placing bets on what disaster would happen whenever I accepted a quest. Mara started charging me a special damage deposit. Lyra started carrying emergency snacks because my hidden objectives kept turning 2-hour missions into overnight catastrophes. And I finally told her about the system. She did not believe me. So after we completed a quest to kill a swamp hydra, I described the invisible prompt out loud. I can claim 1000 XP and a poison-resistant skill, I said, or gamble for 10 times the reward. Lyra grabbed my wrist. Claim it. I pressed gamble with my other hand. She kicked me into the swamp. The hidden objective appeared. Defeat the Hydra again after reviving all 9 heads. Lyra stared at the 9 severed heads floating around us. Your power hates you. No, it believes in me aggressively. We revived the Hydra by pouring healing potions down its necks, which felt deeply wrong. Then we discovered the second fight had one extra rule. Every time we destroyed a head, 2 more grew back. By the time Lyra finished screaming at me, the Hydra had 32 heads. We could not win by cutting them, so I let them grow. 40 heads, 60, 90. The Hydra became so crowded with its own necks that half the heads started biting each other. At 128, the creature could barely move. I used Mirror Legion to lure every head toward the same point. Then Lyra threw our last firebomb into the center. The Hydra tied itself into a knot trying to attack 11 different Rens. The bomb exploded. One giant tangled monster rolled down the hill, smashed through the swamp dam, and got buried under half a lake. 10,000 exp and 10 poison-resistant skills became mine. The merged version evolved into Venom King, making most normal poisons heal a tiny amount of my stamina instead of harming me. Lyra stared at the new skill description. Then she slowly smiled. That was when I knew I had corrupted her. From then on, she started asking the forbidden question after every quest. So what happens if you gamble it? We became monsters. Not evil monsters. More like the kind of idiots who see a bridge marked unsafe and wonder whether crossing it backward gives bonus points. By level 58, I had accumulated absurd equipment from multiplied rewards. My Heart of 10 Lives bracelet blocked fatal hits. My cloak could resist curses. My boots stored kinetic force from running and released it in one giant jump. My dagger could split into 10 spectral blades because I had merged 10 identical enchanted weapons. I even owned a backpack with a small pocket dimension. That one made me emotional. After years of carrying other people's luggage, I finally possessed luggage that carried itself. Then the guild announced an emergency. A black fortress had appeared overnight above the eastern desert. It floated upside down in the sky. Thousands of monsters were falling from it like rain. The guild classified the mission as S rank. I was only platinum rank. Normally, I would not be allowed within 50 kilometers of an S rank battlefield. Then Mara walked into the briefing room and threw a red quest seal at my head. Every S rank team we sent has failed to enter the fortress, she said. Its outer barrier reflects magic and physical attacks. You specialize in making impossible problems worse until they somehow become solved. I caught the seal. That is the nicest thing you have ever said to me. It was not a compliment. The quest reward made my mouth go dry. 100,000 exp, 50 free stat points, 1 legendary weapon chest, 1 legendary skill crystal, and immediate promotion to S rank if we destroyed the fortress core. Lyra read the reward over my shoulder. Then she looked at me. I looked at her. Neither of us said anything. We both knew what the black window would offer if I finished. 10 times everything. 1 million exp, 500 stat points, 10 legendary weapons, 10 legendary skills. The thought was so dangerous it felt like electricity behind my eyes. Mara noticed my expression. Whatever stupid thought you are having, kill it. I am thinking responsibly. That is the face you made before the Hydra developed 128 heads. We left before she could confiscate me. The floating fortress was called Nalvora. Its barrier covered the entire structure like black glass. Archmages blasted it with meteors. Dragons clawed it. Siege cannons fired enchanted shells. Everything bounced off. I watched for 10 minutes. Then I asked the obvious question. Has anyone tried entering from above? A veteran knight pointed upward. The fortress is upside down. Above it is the bottom. Exactly. Nobody guards the floor. He stared at me like I had insulted his ancestors. Lyra understood immediately. We borrowed a wyvern, flew higher than the fortress, then jumped onto its inverted foundation. The barrier blocked attacks coming in. It did not block falling objects that the fortress itself considered debris. So I covered both of us in broken monster armor and ash, climbed into my pocket dimension backpack until only our heads remained outside, and told Lyra to act dead. I am going to kill you after this. More dead, less threatening. We dropped. The fortress barrier scanned us. Discarded battlefield debris detected. Access permitted. We fell straight through. I had never been so proud of being classified as garbage. Inside, Nalvora was worse. Its hallways rotated every 30 seconds. Shadow knights crawled out of walls. Doors opened into different rooms depending on who touched them. One staircase tried to eat Lyra. We fought upward, which was technically downward, because the fortress was inverted, until directions lost all meaning. My boots launched me across collapsing chambers. Mirror Legion overwhelmed guard squads. Lyra stole keys directly from enemies while they were still holding them. At the center we found the fortress core guarded by the Void Bishop, a level 93 creature wearing 6 masks and no visible body. I was level 61 by then. Lyra was 64. The bishop raised one hand. Every weapon in the room turned against its owner. My dagger spun around and tried to stab me. Lyra's knives chased her through the air. I solved the problem by throwing my entire backpack at the bishop. It laughed. Then the pocket dimension opened. Everything I had collected for months fell out at once. Hundreds of spare weapons, cooking pots, rope, rocks, monster teeth, empty potion bottles, 47 stale healing buns, 3 chairs, a folding ladder, and 1 illegal crate of explosive pepper buried the bishop under a mountain of junk. The weapon control spell affected weapons. It did not affect furniture. I grabbed a chair. Lyra grabbed the ladder. We beat an S-rank boss with household objects. When the bishop finally crawled free, furious and covered in pepper, I used the fortress itself against him. His attack spell rotated all the hallways around us. I waited until the core chamber turned 90 degrees, then released every bit of force stored in my boots. I launched sideways like a cannonball. The Heart of 10 Lives bracelet shattered one barrier as I crashed through the bishop. Lyra threw the ladder into the core. I do not know why. It worked. The core cracked. The entire floating fortress started falling out of the sky. The system displayed the message I had been waiting for. Quest complete. Reward: 100,000 XP, 50 stat points, legendary weapon chest, legendary skill crystal, S-rank promotion. Then the black prompt appeared. Claim reward. Gamble for X10. For the first time since the bakery, my hand stopped. This was not a stale bun. This was enough reward to change my entire life. If I claimed it, I would become one of the strongest young adventurers in the kingdom. If I gambled and failed, I would lose everything. Also, the fortress was currently falling toward the desert with us inside it. Lyra saw me staring at empty space. Ren, yes? Do not. I have not done anything. Your eyes are sparkling. They do that naturally. Ren. I pressed gamble. She hit me so hard I saw tomorrow. The system chimed. Bonus objective. Before Nalvora hits the ground, defeat the true fortress master hidden outside space, restore the fortress core, reverse its fall, and land it safely inside Valtis without causing a single civilian casualty. Time limit, 8 minutes. I reread it. Lyra reread my face. How bad? Do you want the short version? Yes. We need to kill a secret boss who does not exist in normal space. Repair the thing we just destroyed. Stop a falling fortress and park it in the city. She stared at me. I am going to become the secret boss. Then reality split open behind us. A creature stepped out of the crack like it had been waiting behind the world for someone stupid enough to knock. It was the real master of Naelvora, the Null King. No level appeared above its head. That was worse than seeing level 100. It wore black armor shaped like broken mirrors, and every reflection on its body showed a different version of me dying. One reflection had me frozen. One had me cut in half. One was just Lyra punching me into a grave. That one felt realistic. The Null King swung a sword that erased whatever it touched. Not cut, erased. A section of wall vanished so completely that even the dust disappeared. I blocked with a spectral dagger. The dagger vanished. I activated Mirror Legion. 10 copies rushed him. He erased all 10 with one swing. 3 minutes remained. The fortress was still falling. The core was still broken. The city was now visible below us. I needed a stupid plan immediately. Luckily, that is my specialty. The Null King's sword could erase anything it touched. Anything. So I stopped trying to avoid it. I ran straight at him. Lyra screamed my name. The sword came down. My Heart of 10 Lives bracelet flashed. One barrier activated. The blade erased the barrier. Not me. I smiled. Then I grabbed the Null King's wrist and forced his sword into the broken fortress core. The weapon erased the damage. For one impossible second, the system treated the missing pieces of the core as the target. The cracks vanished. The core restored itself. Lyra looked at me like she had just watched a fish solve mathematics. That makes no sense. We can complain after we survive. The core restarted. Gravity engines roared. The fortress slowed, but not enough. 2 minutes. The Null King tried to pull free. I headbutted him. He did not react. I hurt myself. So Lyra stole his sword. That woman could steal anything. She once stole a belt from a guard who was actively wearing it. The Null King turned toward her. That was his mistake. I opened my pocket dimension backpack and dumped every remaining object into the core chamber again. He raised a hand to erase the pile. I wanted him to. Hidden beneath the junk was the fortress's emergency anchor chain. The moment his erasure hit it, the chain vanished from normal space while still connected to the core. The magical engine panicked. It tried to retrieve an anchor that no longer existed. The fortress reversed directions so violently that everyone inside became airborne. We stopped falling. Then we started rising. Too fast. 1 minute, I jumped onto the control throne. Every rune was written in an ancient language. 10 intelligence points were helpful. They were not that helpful. So I pressed the largest glowing symbol. A horn blasted across the entire fortress. Not controls. Doorbell. I pressed another. All toilets flushed. Wrong again. Lyra was fighting the Null King with his own sword while shouting suggestions that were mostly insults. Finally, Chicken Whisperer activated. I heard squawking from inside the control panel. I ripped it open. The tiny mechanical bird was trapped inside. Connected to the steering system. Of course it was. Naelvora was piloted by a metal chicken. At this point I did not even question it. I touched the bird. Can you land us in Valtis? It chirped. My skill translated. Need shiny seed. I emptied my pockets. Coins, buttons, dragon scale dust, 1 ruby chip. The bird ignored everything. Lyra threw me the Null King's helmet. A black crystal sat in its forehead. The mechanical chicken went insane. I shoved the crystal into the panel. The fortress turned. 30 seconds. We shot toward Valtis. The Null King lunged for the controls. I used my last Mirror Legion charge. 11 Rens grabbed him at once. He erased 3. then 5, then 9. The 10th copy grabbed his ankle. The real me kicked him backward through the reality crack he had entered from. Lyra threw his sword after him. Then she shut the crack by kicking the frame until it broke. I have no idea why that worked either. The fortress descended over Valtis. People ran through the streets screaming. Mara stood in the guild plaza looking up with the expression of a woman who already knew I was responsible. The mechanical chicken made one final chirp. Landing mode. Now Vora rotated upright for the first time in centuries and settled around the city without crushing a single building. Its outer walls landed perfectly in the empty defensive ring beyond Valtis, turning the entire city into a fortress twice its original size. The clock reached 0. For 1 second, nothing happened. Then my vision turned gold. Bonus objective complete. Reward multiplier applied. 1 million exps hit me like a thunderbolt. My level jumped so quickly the numbers blurred. 61, 67, 74, 82, 90, then 97. 500 free stat points appeared. 10 legendary weapon chests dropped into my storage. 10 legendary skill crystals followed. My S-rank promotion seal burned itself into my guild card. Then another prompt appeared. Merge identical reward tiers? I pressed yes before Lyra could stop me. The 10 legendary weapon chests fused into one black gold chest labeled Mythic. The 10 legendary skill crystals fused into one Mythic skill crystal. Lyra slowly turned toward me. What did you just do? Improved our retirement plan. The mythic weapon chest opened by itself. Inside was a plain silver coin. I stared at it. After everything I had done, my mythic weapon was a coin. Then the description appeared. Fate Breaker coin. Flip before any action. Heads doubles the effect. Tails doubles the danger. I started laughing. Lyra did not. Then I touched the mythic skill crystal. A new skill entered my body. House always wins. Once per day, when facing an event with a measurable chance of failure, I could force the odds to become exactly 50-50. Dragon breath hitting me, 50-50. A meteor destroying the city, 50-50. Me successfully cooking rice without burning it, for some reason, still 50-50. I had become a walking argument with probability. Mara reached us 10 minutes later. She looked at my new S-rank seal. She looked at the gigantic fortress now surrounding the city. She looked at the mechanical chicken sitting on my shoulder. Ren, yes? Did you gamble the S-rank reward? I considered lying. Chicken Whisperer translated the mechanical bird's chirp. He absolutely did. Traitor. Mara lifted her fist. Before she could hit me, every system window in my vision vanished. The world went silent. Then a red prompt appeared, not black. Red. Congratulations. You have exceeded the safe multiplier threshold. I stopped smiling. A second line appeared. New function unlocked. Gamble multiplier. Choose X10, X100, or unknown. Lyra noticed my face. What now? I did not answer, because underneath the multiplier choices, one more message was slowly appearing. A quest I had never accepted. A quest with no rank. A quest whose reward was listed as one single item. System ownership. And beside the reward, the red window was already asking me the question that had ruined my life in the best possible way. Claim reward, or gamble.